It is 3 p.m. in Moscow. It's 6 a.m. in Nassau. I'm Monita Rajpal. This is World One, live from London. But first, Vladimir Putin won by a distance, but independent monitors say there was no level playing field in Sunday's presidential election in Russia. In the last hour, the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe said the election campaign was clearly skewed in favor of Mr. Putin and that vote counting lacked transparency in many places. 2/3 of votes counted so far going to Mr. Putin. The former KGB chief is poised to reclaim the job he last held in 2008. He dismissed the accusation that he won because of electoral fraud.
And this is a victory, honest and tense. We are appealing to all people to unite for our people, for our motherland. And we will win. We have won.
Well, the OSCE is recommending an investigation into the allegations of voting fraud. Mr. Putin's nearest rival, Gennady Zyuganov, is one man who says the ballot was unfair. Well, we have correspondents following all the developments in Moscow. Let's go to CNN's Phil Black, who joins us now from the Russian capital. And Phil, when we're looking at the news conference that was held just about an hour or half an hour ago in there, talking about the irregularities, it was interesting how they classified about a third of the polling stations showing some severe irregularities.
Yeah, indeed, Monita. You heard a very bitter and angry Gennady Zyuganov there, the communist candidate, saying that he doesn't accept this result. He's refusing.
In Moscow. Well, we want to see what the newspapers are saying about all of this. We begin in Russia, where the headline in the Moscow Times is Putin faces a no-win situation. It's an analysis piece that says after Sunday's presidential vote, Prime Minister Vladimir Putin's margin of victory and City Hall's willingness to allow continued opposition rallies could help foretell the magnitude of public discontent and the scale of future protests. Well, here in Britain, The Guardian has a comment piece with the headline, 6 more years to draw level with Brezhnev. It says last night was Vladimir Putin's Brezhnev moment. It was when he seized simply being an elected leader and segued towards a lifetime presidency. Having neatly sidestepped the rules by doing a stint as prime minister, Putin can now go on and on. And finally, this headline in the International Herald Tribune, Putin wins as opposition urges more protests. The article goes on to say, just as the days after the election will pose a test for Mr. Putin, they will also test the viability of the protest movement. You are watching World One, live from London. Tough talk for Iran from U.S. President Barack Obama. World One, live from London. Independent monitors say there was no level playing field in Sunday's presidential election in Russia. In the last hour, the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe said the election campaign was clearly skewed in favor of Mr. Putin, who has won about 2/3 of the votes counted so far. CNN's Jill Doherty is there in Moscow, where the OSCE just held their news conference. She joins us now with more on what they found. Jill? Doherty there in Moscow. In other news this hour, when the U.S. President and the Prime Minister of Israel meet in just a few hours from now, they'll agree on one key issue. Iran cannot be allowed to acquire nuclear weapons, but they may not be in complete accord over just what to do next. Barack Obama told a pro-Israeli group on Sunday he doesn't rule out using force against Iran, but he prefers diplomacy. While Mr. Obama is meeting Israel's Benjamin Netanyahu, the UN's nuclear watchdog will be discussing exactly what is known about Iran's nuclear program. The board of the International Atomic Energy Agency is meeting in Vienna. CNN's Matthew Chance is there, and he joins us now with more on that. And Matthew, I understand there's still some questions that the IAEA have for the Iranians. Well, Iran's nuclear network is spread right across the country. Let's take you there. Let's begin with the capital there in Tehran. President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad recently visited the nuclear complex in Tehran. It includes a medical research reactor provided by the U.S. in 1967 when relations between Washington and Tehran were friendly. Then there is the Fordo enrichment plant near the holy city of Qom. This is a recent satellite photo showing the newer centrifuge facility. It was built secretly Caribbean, deep underground, and is now in operation. We take you to Natanz, which is Iran's main center for uranium enrichment. It is partly underground and contains 2 large halls of centrifuges. Now, in Isfahan, that is home to a research reactor and nuclear processing facility. Then another satellite photo shows the heavy water production plant in Iraq. It is reportedly still under construction, but will eventually produce plutonium. Now we go to Bushehr, which was Iran's first nuclear power plant. It was built with Russian help and began producing electricity in 2010. And finally, we want to take you here to Bandar Abbas, where the uranium production plant processes uranium ore that comes from a mine in the same area. You're watching World One. We'll be right back with much more. Stay with us. A flurry of tornadoes ravaged parts of the central and southern United States. Dozens of people were killed, and the cleanup will be tough as the inclement weather continues for many tornado survivors. Mari Ramos is at the CNN World Weather Center with more details on that. Mari.
Yeah, Monita, it almost seems never ending. At least the threat for tornadoes is no longer there, but back to you.
Mari, thank you. You're watching World One live from London, Syria, where opposition activists say 5 people have been killed in today's fighting. Activists say government forces have been hitting in 3 key places in Daraa, where opposition forces say they attacked government roadblocks overnight. Journalist who was recently escaped from government forces in Bab Amr is now sharing details of his death-defying ordeal. Paul Conroy was wounded in an attack last month that killed 2 of his colleagues. He spoke about it with CNN's Nema El-Bagher from a London hospital where he is now recovering.
They were killed. The door blew in.
Nema El-Bagher, who spoke to Paul Conroy, joins us now here on our set in London, and it gives you just a glimpse of, if that's what journalists have faced, what Syrians themselves are facing every day for the past year.
Well, and Paul, this was one of the real big issues for him. He said, I mean, you saw him there. He's still receiving treatment. He's still in a lot of pain. But he said this is one of the reasons that he has wanted so much to continue speaking out. You know, that carries so much weight and so much resonance.
Especially someone with a military background as well. All right, Nema, thank you very much for them. We should say that it's good to know that he's doing better, but Marie Colvin's body is being repatriated into Paris right now. Thank you so much. China is ramping up its military spending by more than 11%. The $106 billion boost comes as the country lowers its economic growth targets. Are overflowing in Brazzaville, the capital of the Republic of Congo, after a series of huge explosions. Officials say at least 200 people are dead and over 2,000 wounded after a fire broke out in an ammunition depot.
I cannot.
Okay, we do apologize there. Sorry, Emmanuel, if you can still hear us. The sound quality isn't that great, so we do apologize to our viewers as well for that. We're hoping to get more information on what actually happened there in Congo and to just get a sense of what the Congolese were facing there after that huge explosion at a fire at an arms depot there in the center of Brazzaville. This is World One, live from London. 2012 has been Tip's thrilling year for golf, and that's certainly how it's shaping up as Rory McIlroy pipped Tiger Woods to victory in the latest PGA Tour event. Alex Thompson's here with more on that, and much more after that too.
Exactly. Yes, he's been hailed as a golfing superstar in the making from a young age. And Rory McIlroy, Monita, it means then that in the summer, Abramovich will be appointing his 8th manager in just 9 years. Much more reaction in world sport in just over 5 hours' time, including the financial cost of all that toing and froing, the thoughts of a former Chelsea boss as well, and some fascinating NBA action.
Who needs a soap opera when you've got sports?
Exactly.
You know? Tune in for that. Thank you so much for that, Alex. You are watching World One live from London. Prince Harry's charm offensive. Britain's third in line dances up a storm as he tackles his first solo tour. Well, from Belize to the Bahamas, Britain's Prince Harry is whizzing through a whistle-stop tour of the Caribbean. The third in line to the throne arrived in the Bahamas on Sunday, where Max Foster has been traveling with Prince Harry. He joins us now from Nassau in the Bahamas. Hello, Max.
Hello, Monita. What a big test it was for Prince Harry, entrusted by the Queen to represent her in his first major...
Now we want to bring you up to date on some of the other stories that we're talking about here on World One. Somewhere in Ireland, a thief is walking around with the heart of a saint. We kid you not on this one. Police are hunting for a burglar who took off with a 900-year-old holy relic, the preserved heart of the patron saint of Dublin, St. Lawrence O'Toole. It was kept in this heart-shaped box, which then went missing from Dublin's Christ Church Cathedral over the weekend. It could be part of a disturbing trend. A number of relics sacred to Catholics have disappeared from churches in Ireland in the past few months. Now, you've heard of the Golden Globes. Now get ready for the Golden Shears. Yeah, 4,500 sheep got a free haircut at the World Sheep Shearing Competition in New Zealand. The wool flew as contestants from around the world raced to be the fastest to shear 20 customers. The winning time, less than 20 minutes. Now, so large, you can see it from space. It's not the Great Wall of China, but something a little more organic, shall we say. A colossal sheet of algae has been spotted off the coast of Antarctica. The 200-kilometer wide algal bloom was captured by NASA's satellite. What looks like mold to you and me is actually a rich source of nutrients for sea life. Scientists say the presence of algae is causing quite a feeding frenzy. You're watching World One live from London. I'm Monita Rajpal. Thank you for joining us. We'll update you with news headlines at the top of the hour right here on CNN.